Very much for your time. Hello,
Good
Hashmi.
evening and good evening and thanks for having me.
Thank you very much once again. Hashmi, just a quick one. I will take you to citynewsroom.com on this same issue. In 2018, it says parents mass up at GES Complaint Center over SHS placement challenges. In 2019, same citynewsroom.com, it says Accra parents frustrated over school placement system. 2022, a similar story on citynewsroom.com. Parents, students anxious as concerns with SHS placement remain unresolved. 2023, the same issue. 2024, and this year, 2025, we are still experiencing the same challenge. What seems to be the problem that we are unable to resolve this matter?
Well, there's a high demand by parents, guardians to have their wards in Category A schools. And Category A schools are very limited, with limited vacancy. And you realize that because a lot of parents and the students themselves wants to be in the Achimoters, the Presec, there are limited vacancies there. And there are some students too. Yes, we appreciate the fact that they have scored higher grades, but unfortunately have not been able to meet the criteria for the Category A schools. It is possible for a student to score higher grades, but will end up not being able to be placed in Category A school, depending on the vacancy and then the competition level in that particular course. So when that happens, you are most likely to move to Category B. And whilst moving to Category B, it is important that students and parents take into consideration that, or take notice that the Category B that you are moving to, that is another student Category B. And that at that level too, it is also based on whether there is vacancy there. Because as at the time you fail in Category A and you are moving to your second choice, that is a Category B, it is dependent whether there is still vacancy in that Category B. If you fail to meet it, then you are moved to Category C in that order. So there are some students, because they have scored higher grades and are unable to be placed in Category A school, when that happens, a lot of them do flood the resolution center with the concern that they have scored higher grades, they should be in Category A schools. And those are the issues that are emerging at the resolution center. And the Ministry of Education and its implementing agencies like the GES are taking the concerns of the students and then the parents and guardians who have been to the resolution center, and that information that has been gathered is being processed by the CSSPS Secretariat. The genuine ones will be addressed, and there are some too that will be very difficult to be addressed.
So, Hashmi, you mean that majority of the parents and students who are at the Nat Hall as we speak are there because they are all looking for opportunity to be in Category A schools?
Yes, based on the data we have received from the Resolution Center, we've had more than 1,000 reported cases, and about 76% of the requests involve students who want to move from Category C or B to Category A. Some of them have been explained to, and then they are getting the understanding. And there are some too, well, they just want to be in Category A school.
Even though they didn't make the mark, they still want to be in this category of schools?
Exactly.
I see. So I explained to a parent who is listening to us and says that, okay, my child made the grade and then got the school that he or she chose, but then got to the place and realized that there's no vacancy, because you mentioned that these ones are also based on the vacancy in the Category A schools. And so if there are no vacancies in these Category A schools, as you mentioned, what can the ministry do even though the child passed the exam and has the needed mark?
Well, let me reiterate that again. Because there are limited vacancies, the ministry would have loved to accommodate all students in category A schools. But unfortunately, there are limited vacancies in those schools. And because there are limited vacancies in those schools, it becomes very, very competitive. Even in the old system, for you to get Achimota, the PERSEC, you need to be able to perform well. For instance, the portal takes into consideration the raw score of each and every student. And when it gets to a point that the school is full up, the system automatically have a cut-off point where they will cut people who are very qualified but have not been able to meet the competition in that particular school.
So, in instance where the category B and C schools are available, is the ministry able to convince the other parents who line up at the NATO to take those options available?
Yes, we are doing that. It has been very challenging, but we are doing that. And some to depending on whether there are still vacancies. There are still a lot of category B and C schools which are very, very good, and they are doing very, very well. Maybe moving forward, there should be an opportunity for the schools themselves to brand themselves, because, like I told you, the ministry appreciates the fact that the majority of parents wants to have their wards in category A schools.
Actually, how do we react to people who say that because this system is not working, we should consider going back to the old system, where the students will choose their own schools, and when the results are released, they will go to the schools that they chose to go and find out if they had admissions in these schools?
Well, the CSSPS system is evolving, and once it is evolving, I want to believe that policy makers at the higher authority will be assessing it, and if there is the need for that, I think policymakers will look into that. But for now, this is the system we have, and we must all work together to make the system work and work effectively.
I agree with you when you say that the system is evolving, but then since 2018, and we are in 2025, we are still recording, experiencing the same challenges that we had in 2018. And in 2024, we are still experiencing the thing. How do you react to people who say that indeed is revolving, but still is the same old issue?
Well, I think the system itself, I do not see any issues with the system itself. Maybe going forward, what we can do as a country should be improving infrastructure across board and then making all our schools very, very competitive. And that is the step that this government has taken into consideration by proposing in the 2020 next year budget to invest hugely in ending the double track system. When that is done, then we can have a lot of spaces even in the category A, B, and C schools, and it will not affect quality education. At the end of the day, the most important thing is that any policy decision should not affect quality education, and that is the priority of government.
Hashmi, finally, before I let you go, for a parent who is listening to you and has been at the Nat Hall queuing all day, what can you tell such a parent?
Well, we appreciate their concerns, and we are facilitating and speeding up their concerns. And I can, on behalf of the ministry, I can assure them that all their concerns will be attended to. The data has been picked from the resolution center, and it has been brought to the CSSPS Secretariat, and they are working on it.
Hashmi, thank you very much for your time. Hashmi Mohammed is the Media Relations Officer at the Ministry of Education. Let's go into the other line. Speak